I recorded my ex-fiancée plotting to destroy my career after our wedding. She laughed with her friends about taking everything I had once we were married. I played the recording at our reception, and her face when she realized what I had done was priceless. Since then, her parents have been calling me non-stop, begging for an explanation. Here's the backstory. I'm 32 and run a small but growing software company that I built from the ground up over the last 6 years. My ex-fiancée, 29, and I had been together for 3 years and engaged for 1. Our wedding was supposed to be tomorrow, and we had already spent $38,000 on it. But honestly, it was the best money I ever spent. 3 weeks ago, I was working late in my home office when my ex-fiancée thought I had already left for a client meeting. She had some college friends over and they were getting pretty loud after a few drinks. I was about to stop by and say hi when I overheard her talking about me. She said, "He has no idea what's coming after the wedding." Her voice was slurred from the wine, and her tone sent a chill down my spine. I quietly started recording on my phone. She continued, "The prenup is a joke. My lawyer found 3 ways around it. After the wedding, we'll take everything he has." One of her friends asked, "Won't he fight it?" She laughed, a cold, calculating laugh, and said, "He's built his whole identity around being the nice guy. Besides, I've been documenting emotional abuse for months, completely made up, but who's going to question a crying woman?" I was sick to my stomach, but I kept recording as she detailed how she planned to have me put her name on my business after the wedding, how she'd isolate me from friends who might interfere, and how she'd waited until my company hit a certain valuation before pushing for marriage. She was going to take everything, the house, the business, everything, and then move to Miami like she always dreamed. I recorded it all, sitting there for almost an hour until they finally left. I waited until I heard her go to bed, then grabbed an overnight bag, my laptop, and some important documents and went to a hotel. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I called my lawyer first thing in the morning and emailed him the recording. He told me, "Don't go home. We need to handle this carefully." The next day, I told my ex-fiancée I had an emergency business trip for the next 2 weeks. I lived in that hotel, working with my attorney, documenting everything, and pretending everything was normal whenever she called or texted me. The wedding plans went on without her suspecting a thing. I let her believe everything was fine. Then came the rehearsal dinner. Everyone was there, our parents, all our friends, everyone. After the dinner, during the toast, I stood up like I was about to make a heartfelt speech and connected my phone to the venue's sound system. I played the recording for everyone to hear. I watched her face drain of color as she realized what was playing. Her expression shifted from confusion to horror. Her parents turned pale and my mother gasped. Most of the guests were confused at first, then shocked as the recording continued. When it ended, the room was silent. I looked directly at her and said, "The wedding is off." Her father immediately stood up, red-faced, and shouted, "You recorded her privately. That's illegal." My lawyer, who I had made sure was present, stepped forward and explained, "Actually, in this state, recording a conversation when you're a party to it is completely legal. And I'd advise against making any threats right now." My ex-fiancée lunged at me, screaming that I was ruining everything. Security had to escort her out as she thrashed and screamed. Her parents followed, her mother in tears, her father threatening lawsuits. I stood there, strangely calm, and addressed the remaining guests. "I'm sorry you had to witness this. The wedding is canceled. Please enjoy dinner, it's already paid for." Then I walked out, got in my car, and drove to my new apartment, which I had secretly rented 2 weeks ago. Since then, my phone has blown up with missed calls. My ex-fiancée, her parents, her friends, even some of my friends asking what happened. I haven't answered any of them. Her messages went from apologetic to threatening, saying things like, "You're going to regret this," and "I'm going to destroy you." I've sent the recording to everyone who needed to hear it, including her workplace. It turns out that planning to fraudulently accuse someone of abuse is something her HR department doesn't appreciate. I should feel devastated, but I feel nothing but relief. My lawyer says I'm legally in the clear, and while the venue won't refund the wedding costs, I consider it the price of finding out who she really was before it was too late. To answer a few common questions. Yes, I'm keeping documentation of all her threats. No, I'm not trying to work things out with her. Yes, I've changed all my passwords and secured my accounts. It's been a week since I posted this and I didn't expect it to get so much attention. Thanks to everyone who supported me. The fallout from the rehearsal dinner was nothing short of catastrophic, according to those who witnessed it. My ex completely lost it in the parking lot, screaming that I had ruined everything, while her father went on a rampage, threatening to sue anyone who crossed his path. The next morning I met with my parents. They were stunned but supportive. Mom kept insisting she'd never trusted my ex, though that was a lie. She'd been nothing but kind to her before. Dad just gave me a reassuring pat on the back and said, "You dodged a bullet, son." No kidding. My phone's been blowing up non-stop, but I finally decided to answer her mom, who had left a tearful voicemail begging me to reconsider. I told her to listen to the recording again. Everything she said was true, not some mistake, and hung up. Then her dad tried to take a different approach. He showed up at my office without warning, but security stopped him before he could make it far. Still, he managed to cause a scene in the lobby, and one of my employees captured it all on her phone. When he realized he was being filmed, he bolted. Meanwhile, my ex went through a range of tactics, first claiming it was all a joke, then saying I had somehow manipulated the recording, and even showing up at my new apartment, crying through the door, begging for forgiveness. I told her to leave or I'd call the police. I filed for a restraining order the next day and it was granted. Then a plot twist. One of her bridesmaids, whom I'll call Kay, reached out to me in private. Kay revealed that my ex had done similar things with past boyfriends, sharing screenshots of group chats where she'd been scheming for months. This added to the evidence I was compiling. The wedding vendors were surprisingly supportive, with some offering partial refunds and the caterer even returning the full amount, sharing that my ex had pulled similar stunts with another man in the past. As for my company, everything's fine, though I've hired extra security just in case. The hardest part has been dealing with mutual friends. Some stand by me, others side with her, and a few try to stay neutral, which has been nearly as bad. One couple even suggested I should have confronted her privately instead of humiliating her in front of everyone. Yeah, because trying to falsely accuse me of abuse deserves privacy. Her attorney sent me a cease and desist letter claiming defamation. My lawyer's response: truth is a defense. My restraining order still stands. 6 months have passed, and this nightmare is finally wrapping up. 2 of my ex's former boyfriends reached out, having seen my posts. Both of them shared eerily similar experiences. She had manipulated them for money and bailed when she couldn't get what she wanted. We got together for drinks and swapped stories. One guy even showed me texts where she openly discussed using him to further her career. She had been perfecting this manipulation game for years, with me as her final target. Meanwhile, my ex was spreading lies about me, claiming I was mentally unstable and had edited the recording. No one believed her. Her workplace eventually placed her on administrative leave after an investigation into her shady behavior, where she had taken credit for others' work and manipulated client relationships. Karma is real. The wedding that never happened became a local legend. Strangers reached out, saying they had heard about the groom who played the recording, and now I'm known for that. At least the story's accurate. I've recovered most of the wedding expenses through partial refunds and by selling what I could. The engagement ring is being resold, and I'm donating part of the proceeds to an organization that helps victims of false accusations. On a personal note, my company landed 2 major clients. I've reconnected with old friends my ex isolated me from, and I've even started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it feels good to have honest, normal conversations. The last I heard, my ex is moving to Miami, exactly as she planned, except for the part where she thought she would take everything I had with her. Everything came full circle at a regional tech conference. I was giving a presentation when I noticed a commotion. Someone had entered late, and when I looked up, it was her. She looked different, shorter hair, a new style, but I knew it was her. Our eyes met for a brief moment, but I kept going with my presentation, unfazed. Afterward, while I was talking to potential clients, she approached me. She said she wanted to talk for a minute. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat in a public area nearby. She told me I looked good, that my company was obviously doing well. I asked, "What do you want?" She sighed and said she was sorry, that she had been fired after their investigation, and that no one in the industry would hire her now. I felt nothing but pity. I replied, "Actions have consequences." She said, "I'm moving to Miami next week, starting over. I just needed to see you before I left, to tell you that you were right to do what you did." She looked smaller somehow, less intimidating than the woman who had tried to destroy me. She added that she wasn't looking for forgiveness, that she just wanted me to know she understood her actions now, and that she was truly sorry. I could have said a lot of things, but instead I simply replied, "I hope you find whatever you're looking for in Miami." She looked surprised by my response. "That's it?" she asked. I nodded. "Your actions showed me who you really were, and mine showed you who I really am. There's nothing left to say." As I stood to leave, she asked, "Are you happy? Really happy?" I thought about it for a moment. My company was thriving, I had real friends, I was dating someone honest, and I slept soundly at night. Yes, I said. I am. The look on her face wasn't anger, it was resignation, like she finally accepted that her elaborate scheme had set me free. Later that night, her parents texted me wanting to meet and heal the family wounds, now that she was moving. I didn't respond. Some bridges are meant to stay burned. The next morning, I woke up next to the woman I've been seeing. Someone who knows my entire story and accepts me for how I've handled it. We had breakfast talking about normal things, work, weekend plans, movies, no manipulation, no schemes. Just real life. That's when I knew the chapter was closed. Not because my ex apologized, but because what happened no longer defines me. It's just a story now with a clear beginning, middle, and end. They say the best revenge is living well. They're right. But the best closure isn't confronting your past. It's being so fulfilled in your present that the past loses its power completely. That's where I am now, and it's enough. Final update, thanks for the support through this wild chapter of my life. And yes, I'm still recording important conversations. Once burned, twice prepared.